Welcome to this deep dive. My name is Anis Nayak, and this is episode one of the three-part series. Now, to know what you can expect in these three episodes, please watch the video already uploaded in the channel, wherein I will tell you what all will be included in this step one to step three of this series. Today is the step one of the journey. What we are going to look into is a vital communication skill that separates a casual user of AI to from an expert. So today, as you can see on the screen, the topic would be prompt engineering, and that is the skill that we would be learning today. Now, if you have ever been frustrated getting those generic or maybe not so useful outputs from the LLM, or LLM as in ChatGPT or Gemini, whichever you might be using, this deep dive into prompt engineering is a must. In this episode, what we will do is define the skill of prompt engineering, both as an art and also as a science. Our mission would be pretty straightforward. We will move past those from getting a basic or a passive response from an AI, and we will understand the core mechanics of why AI works the way it does and establish an essential structure for transforming a generic output into a precise high value result. Now, in this era of AI revolution, it isn't the speed of the semiconductor chip or size of the model or the speed of the model that matters. Now, the quality of the human instruction or maybe a prompt that we give to an AI serves as the single most important thing. Now, this is a 10-second proof. Now, think about the time you spend in typing a request in an AI chat window. It's usually about 10 seconds, right? So here in the first example, what I've thought is we will call it a weak prompt. You type in like say about 10 seconds, write about climate change. Now, what you get back in an AI, it's like a dead end, a useless prompt that results in generic paragraphs that mean of help to nobody. And because they lack all the context, it will be like mostly like a generic response. Now contrast this with a strong prompt on the right hand side of the screen. This also takes 10 seconds or maybe a few seconds extra. Write a 500-word post explaining climate change in simple language for high school students. Use conversational tone, include two real life examples, and end with three actionable steps that they can adopt. Now the difference is night and day, right? The second result immediately transforms into a more like a collaborative approach, and it actually is usable, and it just confirms the core thesis of the entire episode. Now this is what we'll learn from a weak prompt to a strong prompt and why it is necessary. Now both of the prompts take actually the same time to write, but the results which you get is widely different. Now which is why uh, when we are using a prompt, which type of prompt would you prioritize in the work which you're doing? Obviously the right hand side one, right? Now it's not the AI that is giving you the wrong output, it's the prompt. What I want to emphasize here is it's not the lack of an AI, it's not an AI deficiency, but it's the lack of the structure in the prompt that gives us the generic response. Now, let's look at the agenda for the day. Firstly, we will look into AI revolution. Then we'll move into the formal definition of prompt engineering. And then finally, the need for prompt engineering. Now, the goal would be to democratize AI. It would be like a five-fold approach. Now, the entire goal would be to make AI practical, understandable, accessible, inclusive to all, and maybe empower everyone for innovation and growth. Now, before moving ahead, I want to I want you to take a step back and think for a second about the historical breakthroughs that have redefined the course of mankind, or maybe they have given us superpowers. For example, let me show you a few breakthroughs. You had the telegraph in 1844, which conquered distance and time, or the microprocessor in 1971, wherein the computer which initially occupied a complete room. It was like made a miniature version, which did fit into our own hands. Even the penicillin discovery, which made a simple cut on the finger, was no longer fatal for us. Or maybe few other such moments like the Apollo moon landing or the Sputnik launch, or maybe a DNA double helix model. Like, as you have seen, these were the like major breakthroughs in the history of mankind, and we can pinpoint another such date on November 30th, 2022. And what was it? It was the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT to the public. And what it did was it launched the AI revolution. It was on this day, on November 30th, 2022, the world changed forever. To tell you the scale of it, this app reached, what was it, like 1 million users in just 5 days. And then it hit 100 million users in only 2 months. Now, to put that in perspective, TikTok, for example, took 9 months to reach 100 million. Instagram took 2.5 years, while ChatGPT took just 2 months, making it the fastest growing app in the entire history of mankind. So, ChatGPT was a major technological milestone in the history, right? So, as we are speaking about AI revolution, are we speaking the AI's language? Are you speaking the language that AI desires, or what it wants? Now, to communicate with AI, you need a language, or maybe a right language. And that language is what we call as prompt engineering. The formal definition is this: prompt engineering is nothing but programming with words. It is the skill of instructing AI to achieve precise outcomes through systematic design and optimization of inputs. Now, think of it like asking for a specific coffee, or maybe giving precise directions. Now, the definition sounds too technical or bookish, right? Now, let me give an analogy, or a simple one which I thought would be very relevant here. Now, think of a prompt as asking for a coffee. Let us assume you go to a coffee shop and I say, I want coffee. And maybe you say you want a large iced Americano, or maybe a cappuccino with extra milk and with no sugar, right? So the difference is I give a vague request while you give a specific request. So what I get with a vague request is on the left hand side. I say I want a coffee, so maybe I get a black coffee. While you are specific in your prompt, you said you want a cappuccino, or maybe a large iced Americano with extra milk and no sugar. Now you see the difference, right? Now on your left hand side is the result of a vague prompt. On the right hand side is the result of a specific prompt. So hope you can appreciate the difference. This is what prompt engineering does to the output. It is the precise instructions that work. It leads to clear, predictable, as well as useful output that a user desires. Now, that is the entire relationship we have to build with the LLM or AI. And why do we need prompt engineering? Because the prompts serve as a bridge between you and AI. So, to understand more about prompt engineering, here is a question for you. Now, how you have been using ChatGPT or Gemini until now? Like maybe just like Google, wherein you type something and output is received. It's basically a search engine approach. And I will tell you why this fails, because there are few myths that have to be broken. People think if you ask anything, if you ask AI anything, it will just figure it out and magically gives you the response. But in reality, AI is just a prediction engine. It's not your mind reader. And one more myth is the shorter the better, which is not true. When you input a structure in an LLM, you will get a structured output. So to show you the consequences of what a bad prompt, in ChatGPT, say suppose I give an input, say I want to travel to best places in India. Now my intent was to visit Goa, the sea, the beaches over there. But I don't express it in my prompt. I just say I want to visit best places in India, and AI What does AI does? It has to respond literally based on the general statistical popularity. India has huge famous mountain regions, hill stations that attract millions of people. Now, what AI does is it gives all the hill station examples. Obviously, you are disappointed because you wanted AI to suggest you Goa. But one has to understand here that we haven't given our intent. It's too vague, right? The output is correct, but contextually, when you see it, it is useless to the user. Now, vague prompts lead to what we call a huge error in output because there was no human intent that was captured in the prompt when I said best places to visit in India. The prompt was vague. There was huge possibility space for AI. It had to find the answer from the huge amount of data that it had. And that is why the output was very generic. The AI model does not know what you really want. So it generates the most statistically common and therefore generic output. Now, the AI, you just can't know, the AI just can't know your goal unless and until you tell it, right? So before you ask the question to an AI, now we have to understand what really goes behind the scenes when you hit enter or say when you ask a question in AI. Now this is the chat GPT search like a uh, query window, what you can say. So what happens is there are three processes that goes behind an AI. First one is tokenization, second one is attention, and third one is pattern recognition and prediction of the next token. And this three steps they iterate like a loop. So understanding these three internal processes, let's look into one by one. So step one is tokenize. So when you submit your text, the LLM doesn't see it as letters or fully words. It breaks the entire prompt into individual tokens. And these tokens are tiny chunks, the AI's internal language units. Now, a token could be a single word, or maybe a complete word, or maybe a piece of a punctuation. Now, it's converting a complex human language with a simple statistical building block. And once it has those building blocks, the model then has to decide which ones are important. Now, let me show you how the AI tokenizes the text that you give. Now, there's a website called Tick Tokenizer. So suppose I say, explain AI to me in simple terms. So I have inputted a text. Now see the token count here. The token count is 7, and see this sentence is converted into tokens here. So explain is 176289, AI is 20837 to me in simple terms. Now all this is like converted into numbers. Now next what AI does is it takes these numbers. Now this text is converted into numbers, and this numbers are processed further. Like these are the tokens what I wanted to show you. So that was step one, tokenization. That brings us to step two. Now step two is attention. Now this is the core magic of LLM. The model has to now weigh which of these tokens matter most for predicting the next logical word or an idea. Now it assigns attention or scores to each of the word, and it focuses on a relevant context inside the prompt itself. Now in my sentence, explain AI in simple terms. Now the LLM model has assigned 50% weightage to AI, the term AI, and it focuses its attention on this. Now, the step three, what it does is pattern recognition and prediction, which is then followed by iteration. Based on those highly focused attention scores, say for AI, it gave 50%, the statistical patterns from its training data and for the format that you have provided is recognized, and then the next token is predicted. The model predicts and generates the next best token. It keeps repeating this process until the complete request is processed, right? So this is what happens uh, behind the scenes when you give a query. Now, to explain it to you in a simple terms, uh, this is the simpler version of what I've explained it to you till now. Tokenization, attention, and pattern recognition. Everything is in diagram. But on a higher level, the processing involves matrix multiplication, vectors, and many more things. Now, if you want to know in detail, there is a video I'll suggest on YouTube by Andrei Karpathy. It's a 6 to 7 hour video, I guess, in 3 parts for general audience. Now, it's really good for in detail information on LLM. I strongly suggest you should watch it. Now, uh, that's it. The person, what does this all mean for the person sitting in front of the screen? Now, with a weak prompt, it means the difference between a mediocre result and an amazing result is, say, 55%. A 55% improvement, which is which is purely achieved through a strong prompt, maybe a structured prompt. So, a strong optimized prompt pushes the utility of an AI to 95% range. Now let us revisit our first example, the 10-second proof, which I showed you in the initial part of the video. With a weak prompt, the output is of no clarity. AI feels it is like hazy, while a strong prompt, the picture is clear. Now this is the best way I could think of to explain you the necessity of prompt engineering in a simple manner. It's like you are having a powerful engine, say maybe a Ferrari engine, and you put it on a cycle. Now, rather than utilizing the full potential of a Ferrari, you are not using anything when you put it on a cycle. Now, that is what happens with uh, without a right prompt used on an AI, and when a right prompt is used on an AI, its difference is day and night, right? Now, this was the entire video on prompt engineering, what is prompt engineering and why it is necessary. Now, the challenge for you is take any prompt and try it on an LLM. Let it be even a simple prompt. Screenshot the result which you have received, and the next episode we will see a framework on developing a prompt, and then you can compare the result, right? So in next episode, what you are going to see is a seven-step formula to write a structured and a strong prompt. So until then, stay tuned and thank you.